Welcome back to the tavern. So, I was browsing Reddit a little bit, and I saw this person talking about needing help to build a 17th level Conjuration wizard. So I figured, rather than just making a whole comment, it'd be more fun to do a little bit of a build video, give a little bit more of an insight to how I build characters as well. They said they've never played Spellcaster before, so something to keep at that high level, above level 6, I believe. ThizzmanThundertree is said, and they feel a little bit overwhelmed. They're planning to play a small race, so we have goblins, kobolds, gnomes, halflings. Wants to play a little bit of a coward, bullied all the life. Looks like a 3-day one-shot weekend. So, thinking taking Conjuration Wizard, but not set in stone. Honestly, I think Conjuration Wizard would be really cool for a high-level thing, especially if you feel comfortable summoning a whole bunch of creatures and managing all of them at once. It does change a little bit because you can spend your spells, your concentration, pulling up a summon, and then have your wizard go off and focus on cantrips and single burst things like Magic Missile. When you conjured creature or creatures, you can focus on making sure that they play tactically as well. So I'm all about it. Let's see what we got. We got some cool summon spells. So first up, let's double check wizard. Nope, that's a wizard. Close that. Don't need that open. All right, wizard. So first of all, we have arcane traditions, class features. Here we go. So we're basically going to have all of the class features up to spell mastery. So we do not have the spell mastery or signature spells. So we are lacking on the capstone wizard things, but everything else we're going to have, and we're going to be having 4 ASIs. Let's assume non-multi-class. Keep the complication of the character a little bit low. And we're going to be playing a small character. So we do have a couple options here. I'm just using D&D Beyond to get this build through. This is set to filter for conjuration spells at the moment, so we can come back to that when we're going through spell selection. Now, there's a couple different choices for race. So first, I have this set up. I'm going to throw homebrew content on just because I have something that I want to share as well. So races. So of the small races, we have the notable ones for wizards would be gnomes, fantastic wizards. Goblins could be really cool. They have the dexterity bonus. Where's goblin? Alphabetical order. So they have dex and con, so that helps us AC, but it doesn't help us pump up the intelligence. And wizards are all about getting that intelligence as high as possible. So it's very good. The biggest thing I have is goblins have the Fury of the Small, which is kind of cool. Once per short rest, as a 17th level character, you just get to tack 17 damage onto something. And it's when you damage with an attack or a spell. So even if the spell is a save spell, you can still tack it on. So something like a Toll the Dead. Pretty cool. Nimble Escape fits with the theme a little bit. The reason I threw Homebrew on right now is because in here I have we have the standard Kobold race, +2 Dex, -2 Strength, Gravel Cower Bag, Pack Tactics, Sunlight Sensitivity. And then I crowdsourced a lot of the different things of the Kobold race. And this is my sort of spitball at about what the Kobold will most likely be after Tasha's, because a lot of people are thinking that the Kobold's going to be adjusted because it's currently the only race that still carries a negative penalty to one of the ability scores. Orcs have been fixed in Exandria and Eberron. So this is the fixed Kobold that I have built. +2 Dex, +1 Intelligence, because they are trap makers. They're still small, 30 feet walking speed, dark vision, pack tactics, slim build, so you count as a size smaller for determining your carrying capacity and weight you can push. So instead of small, you count as tiny. So it's a huge penalty on what you can carry, but you have different benefits to make up for it. And then the Stubborn to Default is the one based off the Swobold from Kobold Press, I believe. It was one of the features specifically for that, and it felt right to remove Gravel Cowering Bag. It doesn't feel very adventure-y. Once per day at the start of your turn, if you are stunned, you can end the stun condition on yourself. If you do, your speed is halved until the start of your next turn. Pretty cool. Just get away from some of those conditions. But I wanted to show that off. I think we're probably going to go with a Gnome. Super straightforward, very easy to play. Less abilities you have to worry about, and you have advantage on the saving throws against magic, which is awesome. So let's go with probably the Swerve Neblin. That's +2 intelligence, +1 charisma. Advantage on all intelligence, wisdom, charisma saving throws. Dark vision, 120 feet, and advantage on stealth checks in rocky terrains. That could be a very good choice. So we could go with that, or we could go with the goblin. I think halfling, there's some consideration. Let's pull up the halflings real quick. Especially like the stout halfling, which has the constitution bonus. Saving throws against frightened, saving throws against poison, and resistance to poison, which is awesome. You're better for at not being frightened, especially higher levels. Dragons are a thing. So you're better at not being frightened by their presence, and you have advantage against poison, which could be huge. I think that's probably the best bet out of all the halflings. Lightfoot, potentially, that has dexterity and wisdom, if I remember correctly. But I think let's go with the gnome for now. Where's the gnome? Deep Gnomes for Neverland. Mark of Scrying is probably the other one to choose, because you could potentially have gain extra spells onto your pack magic, and you get message cantrip, comp languages for free once per day, which you usually only need once per day, and you get magic mouth once per day. Not as good as some of the other marked races, so I think the Sphere of Nibbling gives us more to deal with. It also means that we won't encounter issues with dark vision down the road, because you have one of the best dark vision ranges, and you do not have sunlight sensitivity, so we're gonna go with that. Next up is going to be class. Obviously, we're going with Wizard, and we're just going to set this immediately to Wizard 2. Nope. Wizard 2, and Arcane Tradition, Conjuration. Awesome. There we go. Conjuration Savant, and Minor Conjuration. Conjure an inanimate object on your hand, or on the ground, within 10 feet of you, no larger than 3 feet to the side, no more than 10 pounds. So this is going to be that super easy tool for everything. You need 50 feet of rope. Awesome. Let's do that, because that weighs exactly 10 pounds. You need, and it's a coil of rope. It's not larger than 3 feet on a side, and you uncoil it. You need a mirror to look around the corner, because maybe there's a Medusa there or a dragon. You need a tinderbox to light the fire. You need X, Y, or Z. This is going to be the most fantastic thing. And it's an inanimate object. And it's non-magical inanimate object. Radiates a little bit of light, so you do get a sort of torch out of it as well if you need to. The other thing that it seems to say based on this is you might be able to conjure food, you might not. Because does food take damage when you eat it? Probably. That's not so important though. Wizard skills, we'll go with Investigation, and we'll go with Arcana. Super easy ones, rolled a lot. We're jumping over to Description, Custom Background, Configure. This is just the standard rules. Let's go with Tools, because you'll have, and we'll go with, let's say Sage. Throw the Sage background on there. The reason we go with Tools is languages you can solve by comprehend languages and or tongues. So other important skills to have, you have advantage on stealth in rocky terrain. Stealth is probably one of the better ones to go with. And personally, I think acrobatics is one of the better skills. You're not going to be the talker character. You're not going to be a party face as a wizard. Acrobatics is used to resist grapple attempts, so that might be the best bet. Tools, I always recommend actually Mason's tools, because you can rule Mason's tools into does the stonework in this dungeon look like it's been worked in a way to hide something? Does it look old? Does it look does the placement of the stones make sense? It lets you find traps hidden in stones. It lets you find cracks between them. It lets you see irrationality in the laying out of cobblestones to maybe discern the presence of a trap from like a pressure plate or something. There's so many ways that you can argue Mason's tools into it. The other thing that I usually recommend is something like the Cobbler's tools, because it lets you build secret compartments depending on how expanding the 3-day campaign is. But because it's only 3 days, what I would probably recommend is maybe the glass blowers kit potential, but I think Thieves' tools or Smith's tools are probably your other best bet. I would say go with Smith's tools. It gives you that idea of you understand metallurgy to a certain extent. So checks to recognize different types of metals. Is that door actually made out of adamantine, or is it just made to look like it? It's a niche case, but it's probably going to do more for you than anything else. And over a 3-day campaign, you're probably not going to be playing a lot of downtime, which is the reason I don't recommend the Herbalism Kit. Herbalism Kit for a full-scale campaign going all the way up to the 17th level from level 1 or 2, Herbalism Kit is going to do more for you. But Smith tools, there we go, boom, done. That's all we need. And you have the researcher background, you can recall a piece of lore, or you know where to do it. So that's going to play into, that's basically solving a little bit of our history, because we didn't take history as a skill. We took Arcana instead. But now you sort of know where to get the skill if you're trying to research something. So, nice little background. Jumping into class. All right. 4th level. We're just going to jump through the levels real quick. D20, roll 20s set to just do automatic hit points based on everything. We're not worried about that yet. Let's jump over the abilities, actually. We're going to get 2 from Gnome, so we can kick that all the way up to 15. We're going with point buy. And we're going to get... I believe 1 Constitution, so if we put that to 15, oh, we get 1 Dexterity. Interesting. Could have sworn the Surf Neblin. Game rules, races. Gnome traits. Deep Gnome. Oh, Dexterity. That is right. It's one of the other gnomes that has Constitution. Okay. It's going crazy for a moment. All right, character builder. There we go. So we have class. We're not going to have to worry about Warcaster as much for the Conjuration spells, but we might still want to have a decent con score. So maybe we'll put that to 14, put the Dex to 13, because that'll bump it up to 14, give us a +2 in Dex. And then we have 6 more points to play around with. Kicking Wisdom up to 10 is probably a good idea. Kicking Strength up to 10 is usually a good idea. Strength saves are not super common, but you really don't want a penalty there. And the Wizard itself... proficiencies, we have intelligence and wisdom saves, so we don't really want the penalty on the wisdom. Charisma saves are common as well, so we could push that up to 10, and that's going to give us a pretty decent start, because it'd be 10, 14, 14, 17, 10, 10. Seems fine. And these are really the 3 scores that matter the most. There's going to be other characters, hopefully, to cover the other scores. Clear that for a moment. Alright. So let's see, feats, spells, magic items. So we're not sure about magic items. So let's ask real quick, what types like, given the option of X number at each rarity. And we'll put X in bold. There we go. And we'll make that capital. Not X. We probably don't need it bold. We just need it italicized. There we go. Forgot that second question mark there. All right, so let's jump over to class. So we have first ability score. So we know we're going to have 4 out of here. So we don't need to worry about the order as much. We're going to kick intelligence and intelligence right off the bat. Just kick that up. That's going to put us to 19, which is fantastic. Let's open up the feats page real quick as well. All right, let's kick us up to 8. Spells for wizards are super easy as you level up, which is actually really nice. So ability score improvement again. So now we're going to take a look at the feats. Because we only need 1 more intelligence. So we could pick up a feat that's going to give us +1. So I hit Control F, look for +1. It's going to show us all of these options. Athlete, probably not it. Chef, UA. Let's assume no UA is allowed. So we're going to keep searching through. Fey Teleportation, you are not an elf, so it doesn't work. That's UA. Flames of that, you're not a tiefling, so that doesn't work. Gunners, UA. Infernal Constitution, Heavy Armor Master, Strength, Linguist, probably decent, but you can solve that with 2 spells rather than the cost of a feat. Observant might be one of the best ones here. You can see the mouth of speaking, but your perception score isn't your go-to here. So the one that I would probably recommend, you don't need Resilient, you already have proficiency in it. Second Chance is Halflings, that's the lucky ability. Those are UAs, Slasher, Squat, Nimbleness. Dwarf, we're a smaller race, but that's Strength Dex, so maybe we can come back to that. Get a little bit of speed back in there. Where are we? Weapon Master, Wild Talent. Keen Mind. There we go. So Keen Mind is going to solve a lot of problems right off the bat for you. It's going to be +1 intelligence that's going to push us up. You're not going to worry about getting lost. And actually, so we're going to add Keen Mind to the thing, and you can sort of combo that Keen Mind feat. We're going to think about this for a moment and adjust the Smith tools to Cartographer's tools, which is map making. So combine your Keen Mind with your proficiency with Cartographer's tools, so like reading a map. So you can argue that in the sense of getting lost in any way, it's not going to happen. If you have a decent map of the area and you inherently always know which way is north, you're going to be fine. So it solves the problem potentially if you don't have a ranger in the party, and that's perfect. We have Masons and Cartographers now, and maybe he ran away and he had to find maps around the city. You can make it work. All right, let's jump up to 12. There we go. We got Focus Conjuration at that point, huge thing. So ability score improvement. So this one right now we're looking at 14, 14, 20, 15, 17. Miscellaneous bonus hasn't kicked in yet. Refresh the page, and there we go, 20 from the feat. So 14, 14, 20, 10, 10, 10. So you are a wizard, so you're not wearing armor of any sort. So we can either go with pumping the dexterity up by 2. We can pump con dexterity up by 1 each. We are going to have, if I remember correctly, we have 1 spent, 2 spent, 3, 4. So we have 2 more feats or ability scores. So for this one, I would recommend the lucky feat. The reason being, it's sort of just a catch-all. It's one thing that you can do without having to worry about it. You get 3 luck points a day. You just get a reattempt at something. It's going to be huge, especially against some of those big save or suck spells that happen at higher levels. Maybe you're not facing a dragon. Maybe you're facing a lich. Maybe you're facing death knights. Maybe you're facing any number of things that can give you really detrimental effects. This is going to help. Even if you have advantage against that saving throw, you really don't want it to hit you. So that's going to be fantastic for helping with that. So I think Lucky's going to be the go-to for that. And you just want to conserve the points as much as possible. Use them defensively, never use them offensively. All right, so that's going to be there. And now let's kick us the rest of the way up to 17. Durable summons, awesome. 30 temporary hit points, which is huge. And then ability score improvement, finally. We'll take another straight ability score improvement, and we'll kick it into Constitution twice. The reason we put in Constitution is that's hit points at the end of the day. You are making a lot of bodies that have hit points, but you also need them to have as many hit points as possible. And you get that from durable summons, but you don't want to die either. Your summons disappear if you die. Even though you're not losing concentration, the spell ends if you fall unconscious. So it's better to not fall unconscious. The other option here is going with tough, and maybe that's a better thing. So if we jump up here, our hit point's 121. Let's refresh the page, make sure it adjusts properly. Yeah, 121, because 17d6. If we adjust this to feat and tough, it's going to be more hit points, but it's lower con score. We're not worried about concentration checks for conjuration spells. So we're going to refresh that again. And that's going to put us to 138. So actually, let's just throw tough on there. That'll be fun. All right, and that's going to put our abilities to 10, 14, 14, 20, 10, 10. Dexterity is only a 14. That's all right. Depending on magic items, we'll be able to push that decently. You're probably paying the Mage Armor tax with this character. So that's going to put you at a baseline 15 AC. Before shield, you'll be all right. Conjuration Wizard, you're probably going to stay in the back line anyway. All right, let's go over to the fun stuff of spells, though. So big things, spellcasting and arcane, we don't worry about that as much. We'll cover ritual casting in a moment. Proficiencies we've covered. Arcane Tradition, we got Conjuration. Conjuration Savant basically is going to be a non-factor. Minor Conjuration, you really don't need to prep a whole bunch of items. If honestly you have your spellbook, a backpack, and rations, you can probably solve everything else with this ability, and it's many times per day, which is fantastic. Like, you need a screwdriver, cool screwdriver. You need thieves tools. You need XY, like you just make them, which is really, really cool. Minor Conjuration, ability score improvements, Benign Transposition. 6th level, you can use your action to teleport 30 feet to an unoccupied space you can see. Alternatively, you can choose a space within range that is occupied by a small or medium creature. If that creature is willing, both of you teleport, swapping places. Once you use a feature, can't use to get into constant Conjuration spell at 1st level or higher. So we'll have to keep that in mind. That's going to be fantastic for you staying out of combat. You move into combat, switch places with the Barbarian, and boom, you're out of there, and now they got a Barbarian in their face. Focus Conjuration, you're not losing concentration, and Durable Summons 30 temp hit points. Fantastic. Alright, spells. So, prepared spells, nothing. Spellbook, nothing. So, 0 level first. So this is going to be our cantrips. We do have quite a few good options. I think Bonfire might be one of the best ones for you. I don't believe it resets your class feature. I believe that was 1st level or higher. Yeah, Conjuration spell 1st level or higher. So actually, we're not going to go with that strictly because it is concentration. And concentration is costly. So you're not going to be doing the most of the damage. So what I would recommend is picking up utility things. So things like Frostbite are going to be huge because you can give them disadvantage on their next attack roll against your conjured creature. Chill Touch is going to be one of our go-tos. So now we have a range distance con save, 60 feet, a 120-foot attack roll, and you don't need Dark Vision, so you don't have to pick up Light. Mage Hand is probably one of the best cantrips ever. Minor Illusion could be really useful. Prestidigitation, maybe. Toll the Dead's just range damage. We're not worried about damage pump. I think Ray of Frost might be one of your other good ones. Pushing a little bit more of a cold theme at this point then. Because that's a 10-foot penalty on their movement, so things can't get away from your conjured things. And then the other one could be this, could be that, could be the other. I believe you have one more. So I think the last one would be either light, dancing lights, maybe friends, maybe... there's so many good options here. Message is very, very strong. Mold Earth is fantastic. Shape Water. There's lots of really good options. You're probably picking utility cantrip here, though. You're not picking another damage one. You have 2 damage ones that are cold damage and a necrotic. Necrotic is very rarely resisted, and very few things resist cold and necrotic. So you're going to be fine on damage types. And all of them have a utility effect, which is awesome. Yes, it's not the damage of Firebolt, Chill Touch. It's a D8 instead of a D10. But preventing healing. You're preventing regeneration, which is going to be much more common at 17th level. So Chill Touch is going to outperform Firebolts in the long run, I believe. Alright, so 1st level. So as a wizard, you get 6 1st level spells at 1st level, and then 2 additional spells per level. Now, usually my formula for learning spells is also having 1 additional spell per level gained. So when you would gain 2nd level, pick a 3rd 1st level spell as the one that you spent time in that 1st level learning and copying into your book. So on and so forth. But to cut down on the worry about figuring out everything and having to balance in the complication of wizards, we're just going to go with the standard, assume you found nothing over your adventuring career, just 2 spells per level. So 1st level, Alarm's fantastic, Absorb Elements. We're going to pay Mage Armor tax. So let's jump down to Mage Armor. Let's grab Magic Missile, Shield, Shield, there we go. That's 1, 2, 3. So that's 5 so far. And let's pull Chromatic Orb. Let's pull Detect Magic. Now, 2nd level, we're going to get 2 more of these. We're going to pull Comprehend Languages, solve that language problem, solve that puzzle problem. And we're also going to pull Featherfall. Normally, some wizards will pull Find Familiar. The reason that we're not doing it is it just adds another layer of complexity to you, and it's something to not have to worry about. Identify is also a very worthwhile pickup, and we're going to have to keep that in mind as something to grab potentially down the road. The reason that we want Alarm over it is Alarm's just, it's that stereotypical, I know something's about to happen. It's to be able to trigger you set an alarm in a passageway when they're leading, when you're running away from something. As soon as the alarm triggers, that's when you know, now I cast my Conjuration spell. Now I do that. We can just eschew alarm and throw identify on there, but I don't think you're going to be needing to identify things as much. So I think alarm's going to actually do better for you in the long run. Nope, there we go. Alarm. So that is 8 spells. That's first and second level of the wizard's progression. So now it'd be third and fourth level spells you gain at that point. So 2 seconds at third and then 2 seconds at fourth. So one of the best ones for second level wizards is Knock and Invisibility. So strong. Both of them are good. Invisibility is good out of combat and in combat. Knock is good both. One of the other ones that's going to be really good for you, it is concentration, but Levitate. The reason Levitate's strong is you don't need to be flying, you just need to be off the ground sometimes, so that might be one of the good ones to pick up. Another one that might be worthwhile is Hold Person. The thing is, it's an enchantment spell, and you're not the enchantment wizard, so that might be the worst thing. Whereas something like Flaming Sphere is a conjuration spell for you, and that's a bonus action that you can just start moving stuff around. So now we're going to jump over to these wizard spells. And, alright, so first level, it's like Grease, Fog Cloud, Floating Disc, Find Familiar, Ice Knife. Not fantastic spells. What's really going to do it for us is these second level spells. Flaming Sphere is fantastic. Misty Step, Web. So I think your best options are probably going to be Flaming Sphere, Invisibility, Knock, and Misty Step. So now we have a bonus action Conjuration to immediately... you can Misty Step 30 feet and then use your action to teleport an additional distance, which is really cool. Knock is going to solve so many trap problems. Invisibility, yourself or the rogue or anyone else to help with those stealth situations, especially because you don't have the most points in dexterity. And Flaming Sphere is going to be that conjuration damage style. So fantastic things right there. Let's go to 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and filter the spells. Alright, 3rd level spells. Fantastic. So immediately off the bat, let's check the conjuration things. So we have Gaoler's Tower. Interesting. Sleet Storm, potentially very cool. 20-foot tall cylinder, 40-foot radius. So absolutely massive area for Sleet Storm. Prone, difficult terrain, very cool battlefield control thing. Stinking Cloud is probably your other best one there. And then we have the summon ones. Unfortunately, I believe most of these spells are UA. Oh no, Summon Lesser Demons are not UA. So this is when we really start to get our... yeah, okay, the Fae and the other one are UA. So Summon Lesser Demon. You have a material component, vial blood from a humanoid kill in the past 24 hours. So it's something that you're going to want to make sure you role play through. But, so we'll pull this for sure. Summon Lesser Demon, because this is going to be like your lowest level, like really strong control thing. Summon Lesser Demons, and it is concentration up to an hour, so something to keep in mind. But awesome spell. One of the other awesome 3rd level spells is Thunderstep, another teleportation spell, because all of teleportation is conjuration, and this is get out of dodge real quick. Take someone else with you. Keep in mind you are small, so not as easy to take people with you, but also deal damage to everything around you. It's really cool. And Tidal Wave is the other 3rd level. The only reason I would recommend taking Tidal Wave is if you know the setting for this one shot is going to be Plane of Fire. If it is, you take Tidal Wave, you prep Tidal Wave. If it is not, you do not take Tidal Wave. Tidal Wave is an instant kill to fire elementals, because fire elementals take 1 damage for every gallon of water that goes through them. The average fire elemental, let's say it's on a large space of 5 feet by 5 feet, so 4 squares. 4 squares, so 10 feet by 10 feet by 10 feet is how much water moves through them. That cubed is 1,000, 10, 10, 10. And then to get gallons out of cubic feet, it's times 7.5. So it's 7,500 damage. 7,500 gallons is 10 feet, 10 feet, 10 feet. So it's a massive area. Now, even if the DM rules that the Fire Elemental only takes maybe 10% of that as like its actual form, that's still 750 damage. So you take Tidal Wave only if you know that you're going to be facing Fire Elementals and a 3D and things like that. Probably not something to pick right now for a generic type of character. Probably don't need this tab. Alright, so we got 2 of our 3rd level spells. Another one that's going to be save your bacon so much is going to be Tiny Hut. That's your free long rest button. And now we have we know we're playing Conjuration, so we know we're going to have a lot of concentration spells. So we don't need any more of the Conjuration spells for this. So let's kill the 3rd level out of there. And let's go with something like, that's just going to be solid damage. So your choices here are going to be things like Lightning Bolt, because it's decent range, Fireball, the old staple. Counterspell is also one of probably your best pickups, as is Dispel Magic. So if we're not worried about damage, I think Counterspell is the pickup here, because you are the Counterspell. You're the wizard. Like, it's your job. If you're not worried about Tiny Hut, I think you pick Dispel Magic here. And just say, nope, I've got magic covered. So let's say we're not worried about short rest. Maybe we have a bard, maybe we have Twilight clerics, whatever. Or we'll just set a good watch. So we have demons, Thunderstep, Counterspell, Dispel Magic. Awesome. 4th levels. 4th level, one of our really cool ones is Dimension Door, Conjure Minor Elementals. Awesome. So let's go with, so we get four picks here. So Dimension Door is probably one of your best pickups. Greater Invisibility is one of the really cool ones. I would actually recommend Fire Shield or Ice Shield, I believe. No, I don't know where it is. Summon Greater Demon, another cool Conjuration spell. So we can pick up that and Conjure Minor Elementals. I think you pick up one or the other here. Honestly, I think you probably go with the demons here, and you worry about elementals at the next level, because the elemental challenge rating of 2 or lower, they're not that huge, but the greater demons is things like a Balgura or something, which is awesome. So there we go. We also have Dimension Door, so that's another free teleport. Get out of danger right away. 500 feet. Do not need line of sight. Verbal only. It's fantastic. It's going to be your get out of jail free card. Literally, if you're in jail, just teleport to the street outside. Could take Polymorph, but that's going to add a whole extra layer of complication to you. I'd rather not have to do that. Other good 4th levels, Faithful Hounds, decent, Speedier Courier, Secret Chests, all interesting. We have other spirits, but these are UAs, Aberrant Spirit and Elemental Spirit. It adds this extra text block in. If your DM is going to let you use Unearthed, I might recommend going with one of all of the UA conjurations instead of the Greater Demons, things like that, specifically because it gives you the exact stat block right off the bat. You only conjure one. It's going to be stronger than any of the conjuration spells that give you an array. You don't have to go through the monster manual. But let's assume we don't have UA as an option, and we got the Greater Demon anyway. Conjure Elemental is not till next level. Watery Sphere, strong, not great. But I think we got decent ones. You could go with Black Tentacles as an area control effect as well. So Black Tentacles. 20-foot square on the ground, so not huge. But everything in there takes dex saves, 3d6 bludgeoning, and restrained, which means they're speed 0, so they have to make an action to break out. And they take 3d6 if they are restrained. So fantastic. So let's take Black Tentacles. That's an AoE damage conjuration spell. We have Dimension Door, Conjuration, get out of jail. Summon Greater Demon, awesome. And let's throw another decent damage one on here. You could take Greater Invisibility. The limited use of it is the fact that it's concentration. Like if you were an Evoker, this is probably the pick. But you're not an Evoker. You're a Concentration Mage. So you're probably going to want something that isn't a concentration spell. So, and we didn't plan on taking Fireball. So let's pull up Vitriolic Sphere here. This is like Diet Fireball. 140 foot distance, 150 foot distance, 20 foot radius, 10d4 acid damage plus an additional 5d4 the next turn. So basically 15d4 acid damage. The max on that is 60. the average is going to be about 35-ish. So it's going to be a little bit stronger than Fireball, but it's acid damage versus fire. More things resist fire than they resist acid. So acid is actually a better damage type, and it doesn't feel like it because acid and poison always sort of feel the same to me. I think most people conflagrate the two of them. So there we go. We got 4 for 4th level spells. 2, 3, 4. 5th level. One of the really cool ones is Animate Objects. It's Transmutation. Might be the best pick though. Arcane Hand, Evocation. It's the same as Bigby's Hand, unfortunately. So let's close that and jump off 4th, go to 5th level spells. Cloudkill is going to be huge. Far Step, we're not going to worry about. We want Conjure Elemental and Cloudkill for sure, and then we'll probably take 2 other spells. So you want Cloudkill. That's going to be just AoE, fantastic damage. It's poison, 5d8, but it's a nasty piece of work. And then Conjure Elemental. This is why we didn't take the Lesser Elemental, because you can pull like an Invisible Stalker or Fire Elemental or Salamander. There's so many better things to pull at this level versus the 4th level. And then the other things that we have for 5th level, things like Legend Lore could be huge depending on the setting and what your DM's running for it. Rari's Telepathic Bond is a ritual, so it might be worth having this. This solves a lot of the player talk of the table of like, oh no, don't do that because this it's a bypass. Pass Wall could be huge. Planar Binding, meh. Planar Binding could work a lot because you are binding elementals or fiends to your service, so it lasts for because you cast this over the hour that they're here, and then they're bound to you for 24 hours. Just a high cost gold cost component, so maybe not that. I think honestly one of your better things might be Scrying, because it lets you have that range distance of being able to get information when you need it. And I think the other one is actually going to be Wall of Force. Scrying is a nice out of combat one. It's not a ritual cast, so you do have to prepare it. And Wall of Force is going to be that fantastic, just we're good type of situation. Block off the card, keep the thing from retreating, or block off the card, keep it from getting closer to you. Disintegrate can destroy the wall instantly, however, but that's okay. It bought you time, and it made whatever your target was wasted to disintegrate. So that's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Awesome. Now, Scrying looks like it's concentration, but it's a minute cast, so you're never doing it in combat anyway. 6th level. This is where we're really getting into the strong stuff. And you only have one of these spells per day. So 6th, 7th, and 8th levels, you only have one of these spells. So what we're actually going to do is pick like 2 or 3 of each of these. 8th level, you only have 2 picks total. So we'll probably pick both 8th level. But 6th and 7th, we'll probably only pick 2, or we'll pick 2 into Ritual to be able to balance out the fact that you're not going to be able to cast all of these spells every day. So we probably want other things. So 6th level, let's take a look at spells. So we have Summon Fiendish Spirit. That is a UA. This is probably one of your picks if your DM's allowing you to use Unearthed Arcana. But we're going to assume not. Arcane Gate, interesting, not as important. We're going to go with Contingency as one of the spells because you can cast it the first day of combat, or tell your DM like I would have this cast on me the day before the adventure starts, and then because you've had it in your spellbook, and then you don't even have to worry about prepping it. I always recommend your good contingency default is going to be something like Dispel Magic on myself at 5th level if I become paralyzed or unable to move in any way. So something that like a hold person, hold monster, or you can say like my contingency is Dispel Magic on myself at 5th level if I become charmed or paralyzed. Awesome. That is a super easy contingency, but that stops things like Afridi, vampires. It stops hold person, dominate person, hold monster spells, dominate monster spells. It stops a whole lot of things from being able to actually get you because you have that banked 5th level Dispel Magic for down the road. Disintegrate's probably one of your best combat picks. It's non-concentration. It's just that catch-all. If you get trapped in a wall of Wall of Force or something, it's fantastic. Mental Prison's awesome. Soul Cage is more about the DM's use. True Seeing maybe worthwhile. Might want to pick up a ritual. Third one, we don't need guards and wards. And the investitures could be really good picks, but they're concentration spells. So I would actually recommend something like Mass Suggestion. The reason I pick Mass Suggestion is it's something to use outside of combat. It's the guards that are all about to attack you, or they're giving you shit. You cast Mass Suggestion, and you say, all of you fight each other to the death. And as long as none of your party intervenes and injures them, none of them get to save against Mass Suggestion. It only affects when you or any of your companions damage a creature affected by the spell. But as long as they're damaging each other, fantastic. It's sort of evil to do, but you can do it. All right, Mass Suggestion done. 1, 2, 3. We're going to grab one more spell. Let's jump back to first level and pick up something that we might have missed. Let's pick up False Life at this point. That's going to boost your hit points quite a bit. Featherfall is fantastic. We definitely need it. 7th level. All right, let's kill this. Filter Spell, 7th level. Beyond so easy. All right, so Magnificent Mansion and the same spell. Plane Shift and Teleport are going to be probably one of your pickups here. Depending on the campaign, I'd pick up one or the other. I'm going to say you probably pick up Teleport, or if you're going to have to be jumping between settings a bunch for this. So where's Teleport? I think your other pickups, if you don't want to be cheesy and do simulacrum shit, which I recommend not doing, is going to be 2 different spells. There's Crown of Stars is fantastic, non-concentration, lasts an hour. Could be one of your great picks, but it costs you 7th level spell. I recommend Forcecage because there's no save against it, and it does not consume those rubies. And I also recommend something like Prismatic Spray. It's that get out of jail free, just blast them. Like, if you absolutely need to, you just blast them. Your 7th level is really your utility spot for the wizard. All right, let's jump to 8th level. Sorry, we have a 3rd pick. No, that is 3 picks. So we have one more pick somewhere else. 8th level. And cut that back down to 8th. I think you have one automatic pick for 8th level, and that is Maze. It is better than Incendiary Cloud by a long shot. Trust me. Maze. So what this does, no save. You banish a creature you can see into the labyrinthine demiplane. The target remains there for the duration or until it escapes the maze. Concentration up to 10 minutes. Attempt to escape, DC 20 intelligence check. Pretty high. And it's intelligence check. Spell ends, the target reappears in spaces left or occupied. This is a no save, they are stuck. And because you don't get damage, you don't make concentration checks from taking damage, their allies in that fight can't even knock you out of having them trapped in a maze. This is you don't want to summon a demon or an elemental in this fight. You drop a maze on like their giant beast or something that's going to have a crappy intelligence. It might not even be able to succeed on that intelligence check. If it has a -1 penalty to intelligence, it can't succeed that save. It's impossible. A natural 20 is not an automatic success, or a natural 20 check. Which is huge. And if you have a player in your group that's playing with Hex, and they hex the target, give it disadvantage on intelligence checks, it is a check, not a save. Now it has to make a DC intelligence 20 check at disadvantage to escape that maze. Amazing. I mean, it means they don't get their Hex damage, but it could be worth it. The other 8th level spells, you only have one more choice. Anti-magic field is definitely not it. I would recommend something like Demiplane, or maybe something like Mind Blank. Power Word Stun, it's a gamble. It's better for the DM than that. Mind Blank is that spell of immune to psychic damage, divination spells, charm condition, cannot be stopped by wish or anything. It's just, I'm not being spied on or something like that. Feeble Mind could be worth it. Abidalzim's Hard Withering, it's one of those spells you pick just because when else are you going to get to cast it? Dominate Monster is interesting, but if they save, it sucks. So that's why I would not recommend it. You could go with Incendiary Cloud and have 2 Conjuration spells at 8th level. So we'll just throw that on there for now. The second pick's really up in the air. Telepathy could be huge, lasts for 24 hours, but that's only ties you to one creature. Sunburst could be huge, especially if you're playing against vampires and undead and things like that. Or Drow. If you're playing a campaign against Drow and vampires and things that are susceptible to sunlight, Sunburst might be the pick. Tough. Because it dispels any darkness spell that they've cast. 8th level, they're not casting darkness at 8th level. But I think Maze is definitely the pick. Maze is an amazing spell. So there we go. That's spells. We have one more pick. So we're going to jump down to 2nd level. Alter Self could be good. Cloud of Daggers is Conjuration, not huge. We're actually going to pick a defensive spell here in Mirror Image. It's non-concentration, so it doesn't disrupt everything else. It means you don't have to spend all of your spell slots on shield and things like that. It gives you three duplicates. Where when it targets you with an attack, they roll. You roll first to determine if they're targeting a duplicate, and then the attack may or may not hit the duplicate. The duplicate's AC is going to be 12 because your dex bonus is +2. So it's a little bit easier to hit, but it's that sort of situation of you're fine. Duplicate can only be destroyed by an attack that hits it. So the specific wording of that is duplicates are not destroyed by saves. Saves are not considered attacks. Attacks have to have a roll in them, like a d20 roll to attack. So if they don't have saves, if they inadvertently target you with an attack, with like Toll the Dead, it does go after you, but that same spell or that Dragon's Breath, let's say, or that Fireball that just got dropped on you will do nothing to the duplicates. It will hit you though, so there's benefit to it, but the defensive potential of Mirror Image is going to be huge. So let's take a look. We don't have 9th level spells. So you have 22 spells known, 6 for 1st level, and then an additional 2 for every level in between. So that's another 16 to 34 spells known, which is perfect because 16 to, yeah, on the money. And then let's jump over to abilities, description, equipment. So refresh Reddit, see if you answered my comment about magic items. You did not, so we'll assume nothing. Your default magic items that you should pick, if given the option, is a Weapon of Warning, a Dagger of Warning. It's an amazing magic item. Winged Boots. It's an uncommon item that's going to give you a fly speed of 30 feet. Solve so many problems for you being stuck in combat. In addition to all the teleportation that you can do. Another thing that you should pick, if you have the option, is a Staff of Healing, because that does not require add items. Staff of Healing is oh, you can't attune to Staff of Healing. For some reason I could have sworn anyone could. So never mind, not a Staff of Healing. But default picks would definitely be things like the Winged Boots. Gloves of Missile Snaring could be useful, but they cost you reaction, so probably not as good. Slippers of Spider Climbing are very good if you can't have Winged Boots, because it lets you spider climb without concentration. Anything that's going to increase your spell save DC is going to be huge, but you probably won't get. Wand of the War Mage wouldn't be bad if you're relying on shield touch as your primary source of damage. Oh, that was a response to that. So your best pick's probably going to be Winged Boots. Let's see. Remove common. We'll go with wands. Wand of Magic Missiles. If your DM lets you have that, fantastic. Ignore the Exalted. That's a custom item. Wand of Fireballs, even better. Fireball or Lightning Bolts, amazing. Definitely go for them. I wouldn't go for Wand of the War Mage initially because most of your stuff is a save. Staffs. You could have some of the staffs of Charming. Yeah, so Charm Person, Command or Comprehend Language is it from using your DC, which is pretty cool. So that could be awesome. Staff of the Python gives you one more thing. You can't just into it. Staff of the Adders, and no. Woodlands, Ivory Claw. Interesting. Staff of Fire could be one of your best ones. Any of the damage ones, these purple ones, could be huge. Staff of Dunamancy. Let's see. weapons. No, I want rods. There we go. Rod of Absorption is going to be, if your DM lets you have a rare magic item and an uncommon one, I would recommend the uncommon one be Winged Boots and the rare one be Rod of Absorption. This item is so incredibly powerful. Yes, it's a consumable item, but it absorbs 50 levels of spell slots. It starts with D10 levels already stored. If you're a spellcaster holding the rod, you can convert energy stored into it into spell slots to cast spells you have prepared or known. You can create spell slots only of a level equal to lower than your own spell slots up to a maximum of 5th level. You use the stored levels in place of your slots, but otherwise can't cast a spell as normal. For example, you use 3 levels stored in the rod as a 3rd level spell slot. It's going to give you so much casting per day, it is insane. And if you really want to, at the end of a day, you can spend that 8th level spell, cast Maze on yourself, and let the rod absorb it, spending your reaction if you didn't spend it, and drop 8 levels of spell slots effectively into the rod to use the next day. It's not as good as a Ring of Spell Storing in the sense that it's limited by the spells that you prep the next day as to what you can cast, but the flexibility is so much higher. You can also cast a 6th level magic missile that targets only you into the wand and hold 6 levels of spells into it. The utility of this is insane, and it is well worth it. If your DM lets you have one item of any uncommon, rare, or very rare, you pick Rod of Absorption. It is the best item that is not legendary for a spellcaster, honestly. It's better than the tomes. It's better than everything. Due to the sheer utility. This is an ability to cast multiple 8th level spells per day, multiple 7th level spells per day, as opposed to the single one. And Rings of Spell Storings cannot give you that utility. So I'm going to make a comment on your Reddit post and link this video once it's uploaded. So hopefully this has been helpful for you. I would recommend going through at least the spells that I've recommended and taking a look at what the different options are and figuring out what your default things are going to be. Talk to your DM about which elementals to summon, which demons to summon, and if you're playing online, have their stats set up or ask your DM to have the stats set up ahead of time. If you're playing in person, just put like sticky notes in your monster manual or something, so that way you can flip to their stat block super easily. Best of luck with your 17th level one-shot 3-day weekend thing.